It's the postseason in the Canadian Lacrosse League, and Game 1 brings us to the Iroquois Lacrosse Arena, the Durham Turfdogs and the Ohsweken Demons in game number 1. This is CLAX action on the JVI Sports Network. We're glad to have you with us. I'm Matthew Carrick alongside Steven Stamp. We bring you inside the building now as we get set for this matchup. And these two teams, not a whole lot separating them in the regular season.
No, I mean, they split their games during the regular season. A 1-goal win by Durham, a 2-goal win that was very close for Ohsweken. Durham even had 92 goals for, 92 against. Ohsweken 94, 88 against. There's really not to pick much to pick from between them, and it should set up for a great game tonight.
It really should. Two of the guys that are going to help make that happen. We're going to focus on the transition game. Making his return to the Durham lineup is the captain, Mark Farthing.
He's definitely been missed. He's only played a couple of games for him, had an injury. We saw him go out early in one game in Oshawa, and he is just making his return. They are very excited to have him back on the floor.
And on the other side of the floor, one of the guys you would expect to be part of the transition game, Tom Montour, one of the leaders for the Demons.
Yeah, Tommy Montour, such a talented player, and the energy he brings to this club. When he harnesses it in a productive manner, he is one of the biggest game changers in the Canadian Lacrosse League. Tom Montour, certainly an exciting and entertaining player to watch.
If the Durham Turfdogs are to win, they'll have to do it without one of their top offensive players. Jesse Guerin is a scratch here tonight, but one of the guys that they will turn to on the defensive side of the ball, Kevin Croswell, gets the start here this evening.
Yeah, Croswell, who's, you look at his numbers, and they're actually around the bottom of the league in terms of starting goaltenders. Hasn't been a great season for him, but he certainly had some really bright moments. For Jake Henhock, a pretty strong season throughout most of the year, but 2 weeks ago, he had a really bad game, and he was very upset about it because he did not play well at all against Barrie.
And we're going to take a timeout here as inside the building we've got a pregame ceremony which will include a moment of silence for the loss of one of the members of, I believe, the Bomberry clan here at Six Nations.
He played in the Mann Cup for Peterborough in 1952 and 53. He played in the President's Cup with Tuscarora in 1955. In the 1967 President's Cup with the Brantford Warriors, Buck was awarded the MVP. In 1997, he was inducted into both the Ontario and Canadian Lacrosse Halls of Fame. And they say behind every great lacrosse player is an even better woman. Earlier this week, Buck's wife, Sarah, passed away. At this time, we'd like to pay our respect to the Smith family. Please stand as we observe a moment of silence for Sarah Smith. Thank you.
Back on now.
Canadian Lacrosse League action on the JVI Sports Network brings us to the Iroquois Lacrosse Arena, the site of the last 3 and the only 3 Creators Cup Championship games in the Canadian Lacrosse League. If the Ohsweken Demons hope to regain that streak and the streak of having an all-native team in each one of those games, they'll have to get through the Durham Turfdogs here tonight.
Yeah, they'll actually have to win tonight. And if they want to host the game, of course, they'll have to have Southwest Cyclops knock off the league regular season champion Barrie Blizzard on Thursday night at the Barrie Molson Center. That's going to be a good game as well. Barrie certainly heavy favorites after the way they finished the season. We've already got some pushing and shoving between Chris Atwood
on
and Thomas
both
Hogarth.
restraining lines.
Yeah, and the other end is John St. John with Josh Becker. So
yeah, and Mac O'Brien was John with his partner too. This one, playoff atmosphere from the get-go. Matthew Carrick, Steven Stamp, and our JVI Sports Network crew, the officials for the game, we'll get to shortly as 7 seconds in. Over the right shoulder of Kevin Croswell, Chris Atwood gets on the board.
43. And that, I was talking with some Durham folks on the bus on the way down here about exactly how important face-offs can be to a team. And the agreement was, it can be hit or miss, but when you can win one like this, like Mike Atwood does, just rip down the floor. He's so good at playing with the ball in the back of his stick, and he gets it to his brother Chris, who just fires it home. And that for an early goal, now Cudmore and Atwood are going to have some pushing and shoving. But, the face-offs can really help when you can do something with it once you win it.
Looked like the signal was from Grant Spees. He is the crew chief tonight. He's joined on the floor by John Zabo and the technical referee Brent McCauley. And it was Grant Spees whistling that one. He's going to take a huge step back now so he can watch everything on the floor, and we'll redo it between Mike Cudmore and Mike Atwood. Joe Wasson comes in, takes a huge bump, but it's Dylan Goddard in his return to the lineup as he digs that one out.
And when you're facing Mike Atwood, that's really what you want. There's a quick shot by McNulty, but what you want is Cudmore to tie up those face-offs so the rest of the ball team can get in and battle for possession.
As we said, no Jesse Guerin in the lineup tonight. So Joe Wasson, as they still got the draw team out, takes the shot. It goes off the far pipe, and all the way down for Croswell. Now the face-off guys will get off, and the offensive unit will take over. Aaron Brown leading the charge, and on this side, Brandon Armstrong. So maybe a bit of a defensive set here in the offensive zone. Tim Bergen's out there as well. He's going to accept the ball now. Cuts back to his left. He's going to go all the way to the net now. Takes the shot, and it's off the toe of Henhock. Up into the screening, so the Turf Dogs will regain possession.
Bergen driving to the net. We'll see how often Durham tries to fight their way through. They do like to work in tight when they get the opportunity. Ohsweken is not easy to penetrate against.
Turf Dogs change up their left side as Armstrong works in. Ball bounces off the glass. Up for Josh Becker, one of the nominees for Rookie of the Year this year in the Canadian Lacrosse League. As Dallas John brings it over. Back to the veteran Wayne Van Every. He'll slow things down and let the Demons change up. They're missing one player. And the latecomer is Mike Atwood, who steps into a hard shot off the backboards. Came right to Van Every. And Croswell had to be quick back in position. We've got another mix-up back there. Eric Schuwell and Elijah Printup, it looks like. As Roger Weiss is going to take it around the corner. Goes around on Aaron Brown and then feeding it through. That one past one of the Demons players.
What we saw in that one, the initial shot by Weiss early on. Oh, this one's possibly stolen.
It's going to be a 10-second count. Anyways, Blue Hill had thoughts of picking that up, batted it back to Wayne Van Every. And Blue Hill, a nice job not to touch it, realizing they're deep in Durham zone. And that would have given the 10-second count. Our player to watch, Tom Montour, backhands it up to center floor. Mike Miller cutting off the bench is there. Montour, John St. John bumps him off the ball, and they call that a loose ball push. And now we've got more jousting, and Montour and St. John are going to go.
Yeah, you can see Grant Spees immediately jump in. Obviously, they've seen the pushing, shoving, chatting off on the face-offs. They see it starting to ramp up a little bit, and they're trying to nip that in the bud with Tommy Montour, a pretty flammable product out on the floor. And John St. John, who's just giving him the chirping motion with his glove over there. But St. John, not a shrinking violet either.
So a slash to St. John, a rough against Tom Montour, and we'll play 4-on-4. A lot of room to work with here. Early 1-goal lead for the Demons. It came 7 seconds in. As a low shot there from Dewey Porter goes, it looks like off the leg of Hogarth. He's the guy hobbling around there. Chris Atwood around him, and then down low on Croswell will make it 2-0.
And you know, I wrote a preview of this game for IL Indoor today. You should go check it out, ilindoor.com. But one of the things I said was Chris Atwood, a 2-time scoring champion in this league, has never really blown up in a game this summer. This season, he's had one game where he got 6 or 7 points, but he just hasn't taken over a game like he can. In that case, you can see a nice little slip move, a bit of a dodge to get himself free, creating space for himself to shoot. And he buries it. And I'll tell you, if he gets on a roll, it could be big trouble for the Durham Turfdogs.
And the Turfdogs mixing personnel again. Oh, sorry, they had 5 players on. We're still 4-on-4 for the next minute 39. But 2-0 in favor of the Demons, both of them coming off the stick of Chris Atwood. One of, I think, only 5 or 6 players to play in every single Creators Cup championship game is Chris Atwood. He went back and forth between the Ohsweken Demons and the Iroquois Ironmen. As here comes Mark Farthing. Over on the far side, Dylan Goddard, McNulty, Armstrong, Tim Bergen. As the pick and roll there ends with a shot from McNulty going off the backboards. Coming over is Armstrong to play it before it goes over and back, and he's just going to launch it into the screening with 1 second on the shot clock.
Yeah, nice smart play there by Brandon Armstrong to just toss it in. That's one that actually nabbed Brandon Goodwin in his National Lacrosse League, one of his debuts with the Buffalo Bandits, one of his first games, as he lobbed the ball down into the mesh. And that's actually a delay of game penalty in the NLL if it goes up into the netting. It's okay here in Sealax, obviously. And here we have a hustle play by Pete Rennie to scoop up this ball, or Nevin Sullivan, and he's going to take it down into the offensive zone. They are 2-on-3. 2-on-4 as Roger Weiss comes back, so they'll take their time until Hogarth and Wasson can join them.
Josh Wasson from outside now. He gets it back for Hogarth. Hogarth trying to feed it through to the far side, and that one's picked off. It was Schuell over there, and the little flip pass over the shoulder looked like it was from Van Every. Goes for Dallas John. We've got a delayed penalty from John Zabo, and it's going to be a high stick. Hogarth doesn't like the call, but he's going to go off just as we return to 5-on-5. So now we'll get a look at the power play for the Demons.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a break for Durham. At least it's not going to be 4-on-3 because that does obviously open things up a lot. Hogarth taking the penalty, something he hasn't done a whole lot of this season. He's been very good for them. Has just 6 penalty minutes all regular season, despite playing a very aggressive physical style of defense.
The Van Everys, Torrey and Wayne on this side. Roger Weiss takes the quarterback position. They've got Chris Atwood on the far side, and the shot there comes from Van Every into the corner. Tie up here as Torrey comes over, as does Blue Hill. The last member of that power play team. All this is doing is eating time off. Aaron Brown realizes that as they come up to get in the shooting lane of Chris Atwood, force him to his wrong side. And off the backboards, Roger Weiss is going to touch up at center. And now we'll have a discussion whether or not that hit anything.
That looked to me like it was about 8 inches over the shoulder of Kevin Croswell. I don't think Durham's going to like this.
We're going to put 26 seconds back on that shot clock. The shot was taken. Goaltender made the save. Ball went into the corner. It bounced. Nobody played it. They flipped it up. The guy took the shot. All right?
There's a great explanation from Grant Spees. That is fantastic. Explaining to the timekeeper, and we got it with that microphone down in the penalty box, that it wasn't the last shot that was the problem. It was the one earlier that it hit the goalie and was never reset at the time.
As we said, Crew Chief Grant Spees right on that call, and salute to our penalty box microphone down there. Getting things going, and a change up Looked like a shot, but a pass straight over to the crossbar, and that's going to be the easiest one of the season for Wayne Van Every. He's scored a ton like that in his career, and another easy one. Watch the open look he gets.
Takes the pass from Blue Hill here, and there is a whole lot of open net. You see Kevin Croswell looking across, and by the time he's heading over that way, the ball's already behind him, and it's 3-0 pretty quickly. Durham certainly we expect to be very competitive in this game, but they're going to need to make sure they don't dig too big of a hole, because it can be awfully tough to come back, even if you do have a strong return to form.
Mike Atwood
still engaging with his helmet off.
Yeah, I was going to say all over somebody. The helmet still on the carpet there. No call coming for the playing without the helmet.
Yeah, really should have been 2 minutes for illegal equipment.
Goddard gets it over to the far side. They come back for Wasson now. A lot of cycle coming from that left side. Mark Farthing gets dumped. Looked like maybe a bit from behind. No call here on the Demons. Farthing will pick Montour out of the way as our players to watch go head to head. They'll reset here as Farthing gets another opportunity to shoot. This one off the back glass. Kenny Aaron will finally come up with the ball, and he'll get it up for Tom Montour. He goes up the floor. Mike Miller.
Demons going right after Mark Farthing, who they know is just off the injured list, and trying to bump him around pretty early.
Mo Bissell gets his playoff action after 2 regular season games, 2 very good regular season games. As Bissell comes back to throw a pick, on Pete Rennie. Rennie's going to go for Bergen as the Turf Dogs change up as they pass their bench. Brandon Armstrong at the restraining line. Tim Bergen. Armstrong right in the face of one of the defenders there. The pass is tipped, though, picked off by Atwood. He's got Josh Becker coming with him, giving chase. Eric Schuwell, and a nice job by Tim Bergen. Got on his horse and matched Atwood and caused them to put the brakes on. So we'll try and set up a play here as Atwood walks off the wall.
That was a nice play by Bergen and Schuwell to take away that passing lane, because Atwood was looking past the whole way down.
This is Schuwell being chased by both Travis Hill and Josh Becker. He gave off for Josh Wasson. Back for Brown. Hogarth is in front, cutting back. A corkscrew shot there, had it stripped away from him just as that pass went off. And then a collision in front of the Demons bench there. Josh Wasson can't corral it. It's a 2-on-1. Becker kind of jogging up the floor now. Gets it there, man, on the crease. Becker to the far side, and again, the ball movement there. Looked like John Zabo was maybe waving that off, but it looked like Chris Atwood is okay.
And here you see Becker coming down, 11 assists on the regular season. He gets his first playoff one, and you leave Chris Atwood alone like that, it's going to be dangerous. You can hear that
2-minute delay of game on Kevin Croswell.
So that's certainly going to hurt, as John St. John will go to the box to serve that. It's 4-0.
Croswell's going after Atwood.
With Chris Atwood. It's well known that Chris Atwood is not particularly well liked by his opponents. He does have a tendency to be very vocal.
And there it is, Hogarth
away now.
You're going to want to stick around for the very end of this game, no matter what the score is, folks, as early movement on the face-off. Can't take the officials' time out on a goal, but you can on a dead ball off the face-off. We'll do that with 7:10 to go. All Demons early on. We'll be back after this. Here's how these two teams match up coming into the game. You can see the records exactly the same. 2 goals separating them that they've scored. 4 goals difference. not pretty close in shots, just 6 shots through the entire season separating these two teams. And pretty much take your pick. I think Vegas would have this at a coin toss.
Yeah, no question about it. I think the big thing that I thought might be a factor coming into the game was that Mark Farthing is coming back. I think we didn't know if Jesse Guerin would be ready to go today, but with him not in the lineup, definitely an edge towards Ohsweken. But wow.
Here's what happened the last time these two teams met, February the 28th, just a couple weeks ago in Durham. That was a barn burner all the way. The return to CLAX of Mac O'Brien. That was the story. Wayne Van Every picking up 5 points, but how about 6 points for Mac O'Brien? And then this in the final week of the regular season at the ILA, Ohsweken 2-goal win against Durham in that one. And again, you could see Mac O'Brien, Jeff McNulty, Wayne Van Every, the offensive powerhouses in that one. Dylan Goddard off the face-off, a quick restart. That takes 10 seconds coming into the back half of this opening quarter. And the first goal of the game for the Demons. We had to look to our left for that one. I don't think we've been on that side of the carpet for much of that first 7 minutes.
Very important for Durham to get on the board. It especially helps that they get a short-handed goal. That's a beautiful pass from over along the far boards, just hitting Goddard in time. You're going to see it coming right here with the man all over him. Makes that pass into the middle, and Goddard makes no mistake.
Comes Armstrong down the near side. Armstrong lost it there for a second before it's picked up by Wayne Van Every. Van Every. They're still fighting for it now as Hogarth. Look at that play. Kicked ahead by Torrey Van Every up to Wayne, and Wayne's going to bring it over the restraining line. Torrey Van Every using his feet out of that scrum. And they'll set up the power play here with 1:20 to go. In the penalty to Kevin Croswell, who's on the bench. Cole Murray gets his first save of the game, going to his left. Out of that official's timeout, they did change the goaltender as Hogarth. Couple nice moves to get away from defenders. And Hogarth down the far side. Mac O'Brien bearing down a nice slide by Torrey Van Every. Remember, the first couple of seasons of CLAX, Torrey was primarily a defensive player, taking over the offensive role here under Mouse Henry. Pete Rennie is going to slow it down. 2 on the shot clock. 45 seconds in the penalty, and now Rennie will just have to dump it down. And we'll see what they can do with the final 42 of this power play.
Be a huge kill if Durham can get through this one without giving up a goal and manage to actually come out ahead on that delay of game penalty. You got to wonder if Matt Giles was wondering if if the Demons were getting into Kevin Croswell's head.
I think that would get into anybody's head, scoring 7 seconds into a playoff game. Down the floor, the Turf Dogs had thoughts of going 2-on-1, quickly turned into a 2-on-3, and they want that called over and back. It did come outside the restraining line. And now the fans are getting upset.
We have very knowledgeable fans here, probably more into the game than the fans in any other CLAX arena. Very knowledgeable, and they know, even though that's a rule a bit unique to CLAX, but they do know that if it goes in over the restraining line, you can't throw it back out, and you can see very clearly he actually just steps right outside.
And immediately Tom Montour on that call.
Yeah.
And
Wayne Van Every as well, holding his hands out to signal. And they do get the call. Good work by the officials to get together on that one.
All even is the call now on the floor. Look at the ball movement there. How does that stay out, though? I don't think Murray got a piece, but it goes wide off the backboards, and then Schuell's dropped. The bench wanted a call there, but play continues. Roger Weiss around the top of Farthing. That one bounces off the stick of Schuell. The penalized player gets back out. Atwood, as the shot clock was expiring, took the shot off the crossbar, and Hogarth has seen enough.
Yeah, Hogarth not very impressed with Chris Atwood tonight. The thing for Durham, as much as taking Chris Atwood off the floor is not a bad thing for them, they need Thomas Hogarth. He has been one of the most valuable players for them in this in the league this season, even as a rookie. You're going to see here that shot gets tipped by a Durham defender. It comes out. Atwood fires it a little late, not too much, but it's more a cumulative effect, I think, that Durham gets tired of seeing.
And Chris Atwood is the only guy to the box. We see that as Hogarth starts to play, so an opportunity here for Durham to get back into the game as they get a power play. On that replay, you could see the official raising the whistle to the lips. So the shot clock had gone. That's usually it goes, then they blow it. So probably a good second after. Enough, I would think, to hold up on the shot anyways.
Probably an ill-advised pass by Elijah Print up there as Tom Montour was well covered. Couldn't thread it through. Might have wanted to pull that one out and kill some more time, but I'll tell you, Montour and Printup, I think, are one of the best pairs at the top of the penalty kill we've seen in this league in its 4 years of existence.
McNulty up for Goddard. Back for Bergen. Bergen's got a man creating traffic, Joe Wasson. He was playing there on Rod Squire. Shot came through, so another 30 for the Turf Dogs. It'll come from McNulty. That one off the pipe as it just squirted through. McNulty chases his own rebound. And now he'll get it over to the far side. Bergen ducks, drives, looks 5-hole, and nothing there as McNulty dives through the rebound. But it's
pretty
going to
nice
be
little
outletted
move
from
by
Montour.
Bergen to find some space. He's done that a couple of times, creating his own shot. He's guy out of the Ottawa area and relatively new to sort of high system lacrosse, and he's adapting fairly well to this Durham program. Showed a nice little bit of giddy up there.
Turnover in front of Durham's bench. Hands it to their offense. A no-look pass out of the corner for McNulty. Went to Brown. A nice pickup by Goddard. Had to climb the ladder after shooting it off the backboards. McNulty again, the quick stick, one-timer. Henhock to his left to make the save. Up top for Goddard. Brandon Armstrong the shot. After going to his left, Henhock knocked the net off. We'll see if that comes into play here. Armstrong with the shot. It goes wide into the corner. Ken Aaron after that. He does corral, and Henhock will do some housework in his crease as we turn back to our right.
What a huge loose ball by Ken Aaron, because that would have been yet another possession for those penalty killers to have to deal with.
They do get off the floor. We're 5-on-5 now as Atwood back to the bench. Pardon me, back to the floor as he takes the ball, and that's how you make up for a penalty.
Chris Atwood, absolutely a lovely little move. Just slipping once again. We've seen this already tonight where he just slips by a defender. He is so elusive. There's Becker going down
91.
low. Quick pass across.
19, sorry.
And just crosses the hands over and somehow gets enough on the shot and enough accuracy as he's dodging left and crossing his hands over right to left. That is just a high skill maneuver.
That makes it 5-1, and if you thought Hogarth and the Turf Dogs had enough of Atwood before, a hat trick in the first 12 minutes of the game, they're definitely sick and tired of 77. Of course, Chris Atwood started the season in the National Lacrosse League. There's an outside shot. That one off the foot of Elijah Printup. Our player to watch for the Turf Dogs, Mark Farthing, signed to the New England Black Wolves practice roster earlier this week. If you ask people who have watched Ontario lacrosse, that one about time.
Yeah, he's definitely a player who could help out an NLL team, and New England looking for some assistance. Oh, there's a ball flopped for by Wayne Van Every. He gets it. They're going to say it was in the crease. Cole Murray's possession, though. Van Every thought it was actually outside, but disagreeing against the official. But yeah, Farthing has worked his way to earn that spot.
Something must have happened there because you can reach in to play the ball. So he must have made contact with Murray, but
yeah, the ball was under Murray's stick.
Okay.
So, but I thought initially the ball was still outside the crease when Van Every contacted the stick, which is perfectly fine.
And I thought if there was that much contact in the crease, Pete Rennie would have taken more exception than he did. Dewey Porter, anyways, gets it up for Mike Miller. He steps behind the screen of Josh Wasson and lets it go. Cole Murray still sees it. And now he's going to pass it up a couple hops to John St. John, right in front of us over the restraining line. And in stride, McNulty on the crease for Goddard. There's a shot. Bit of a change-up where Henhock had to go down low. Does make the save, though.
That's one where McNulty immediately made the pass. didn't even seem to look for the shot, and I thought he had a pretty nice lane to let that one rip at Henhock. Probably a better shooting position than Goddard did down on the crease.
Mo Bissell taken into the boards hard by John St. John, so he'll get a free possession here. Bissell kept outside, now shoots for the corner. He had it too, but the shoulder of Murray comes over to take it away. Here's Mac O'Brien down the floor. Bissell with him, can't get there in time. Vintage Mac O'Brien.
It's actually Dylan Goddard taking the pass and tucking it home, but it's a beautiful outlet pass from right down deep in the Durham territory.
49.
Saw the 9 and got excited there. Dylan Goddard's been taking notes on Mac O'Brien.
Scott Gamble behind his own crease. You can't make a longer pass than that one standing behind his own goal
stand on the
line.
dasher.
You could. No room to swing the stick back though, and that could be a huge momentum swinger. A transition goal for Dylan Goddard, his second goal of the game, making it 5-2 and getting Durham a bit of a push going into the final few seconds.
I don't know what our goal of the night is, but I found our assist of the night. Over and back on Dallas John, and then he rolls the ball away. He's going to get called for a delay of game penalty from the technical official at center floor.
From the frying pan into the fire, as he initially makes the over and back error, and then rolling it away compounds it. So with 12.2 seconds left in the first, Durham's going to try and get one back right away as they'll set up on the power play.
Here's Tim Bergen at center. And Ohsweken has 5 guys on the floor though, so that's the official's miscue. You can't restart with the wrong number of players on the floor. If they put a guy out there by their own volition later, that'll be their fault, but the officials let this one go. Down on the floor. Picked up and brought out by the Demons, but with the game clock about to expire, it'll take us to the break at 5-2 now for the Ohsweken Demons. It was all them in the early start, but Durham's finally getting their legs under them.
Learning College has identified the gap between education and the stressors of the working world. We develop customized programs for each student at an affordable cost. Students can choose from over 30 diploma and certificate programs offered at any of Academy of Learning College's 17 Ontario-based locations. Simply a better way to learn. Learn more at academyoflearning.com. Fire Monitoring of Canada is the leader in the fire alarm monitoring industry, specializing in the early notification of fire alarm signals to the fire department. Our experienced customer service staff will work closely with you to develop the best solution for your specific monitoring needs, and our CFAA certified technicians are qualified to perform your installation quickly and efficiently. Be sure to choose Fire Monitoring of Canada because saving time saves lives. Visit us at fire-monitoring.com.
Head coach of the Durham Turfdogs, Matt Giles, for my money, could be in the running for Coach of the Year, if not for some guy in Barrie. But 4-4 record this season, finishing 3rd place due to a tiebreaker with his counterpart, Mouse Henry, who this year makes his return to the league looking for his 2nd Creators Cup victory.
Yeah, and you can see the impact that Matt Giles has had on this Durham team. As they've really improved through the course of the season. He talked early on about how it was a process getting them ready to play full 60 minutes. At the other end of the floor, Mouse Henry, generally such a calm, cool, and collected character, really gets his point across well without doing a lot of fired up yelling. But when he does get going, he is heard.
And you can see historically not a whole lot separating these two teams. The Durham Turfdogs, in both of their times in the playoffs, just 1 game, 2 losses, both of those losses coming by 1 goal. As they lost in overtime a couple years ago, and then the first year of existence, they heartbreaking loss in the last second to knock them out. And 3 for 3 for the Ohsweken Demons in the playoffs, as they've won 2 Creators Cup championships as a result. Pete Rennie's going to bounce it to the far side. As we're back underway here, 2nd quarter action as the teams have switched ends. The Durham Turfdogs remain on the power play for the next minute 22. This is the way the floor was slanted in the first quarter. We'll see if it keeps going. Pass out of the way for McNulty. He's got to go now as Tom Montour picks it up. Tim Bergen on his horse as well. Nice job by Montour to get that shot away. Looked like he may have crossed through the crease. So nice job by Dewey Porter recognizing, takes himself to his wrong side to come get the loose ball. Over for Atwood. Atwood on his wrong side, trying to find Porter coming out from behind the net.
Speaking of wrong sides, Tommy Montour actually switched hands and went lefty to get that shot off. Had both hands kind of down at the end of the stick. Didn't look like he had a lot of control over it, but certainly an innovative approach to take in a box lacrosse breakaway.
I was going to say, taking that one out of the field playbook. Here's St. John shooting that. Just misses the far side off the backboards. And Tim Bergen falling in the crease was Hogarth. Montour from his own crease looked to outlet either Dewey Porter or Chris Atwood, but right in the middle of them was Bergen for the interception. And St. John back for Bergen. Tries to shoot it low around Montour. That one bounces out in front of the Turf Dog bench where Aaron Brown brings it down.
Bergen was a little hesitant as he went down. They actually had a pretty good chance to create a good scoring opportunity. He kind of ran himself out of it.
Mac O'Brien up top shoots it off the leg of Dewey Porter. He turned and ran down the floor. So Goddard will get it back. Hogarth now takes the shot, and that one late off the shot clock. So the Demons will get their 30 on their side, and the fans want a delay of game against Hogarth.
Well, two of the Durham coaches were arguing that that shot actually hit Jake Hendhock before the 30-second clock went. It was pretty darn close. I think it's the right call, but definitely no delay of game on that one.
Here's Roger Weiss taking the shot. Cole Murray sees that through a crowd, and it goes up into the screening. So Weiss back to play for it. Pick and roll in front. Wayne Van Every give and go, and Van Every trying to get up. Takes a shot to the lower leg there of Pete Rennie. He drops, and Van Every is going to go off.
And Pete Rennie, one of the nominees for Defender of the Year from Durham, who has had such a solid season, showed you why he's getting some attention with that play as he covered the dangerous Wayne Van Every, who scored 3 goals a game in his 4 games this season. Picks him up heading down the slot, stays right with him, takes away the chance, and knocks Van Every down. And really a lack of discipline by Van Every to take that penalty. It's just something he'd like to have back.
The penalties for Ohsweken so far: Tom Montour, Chris Atwood, Dallas John, and now Wayne Van Every added to that list. All of them undisciplined.
Yeah, it has been something that's plagued them at times.
McNulty down low for Goddard, and
over to Josh Wasson, who tucks it home.
Replay the one the Demons scored in the opening quarter, as that makes it 5-3 on the power play. Turf Dogs are getting themselves back into this one.
You see Thomas Hogarth staying up for some offensive shifts, and you can see why. He's playing a pretty important role for Durham in this offense.
66,
Coming down low to Goddard, who's had their first 2 goals. Hogarth, a bit of a distraction right on top of the crease. And Wasson, who I'd say 5 or 6 years ago was one of the best crease players in the Major Series lacrosse loop. He was so dangerous cutting through, and reprises that role here tonight.
Montour off the face-off. They'll get it back for Rod Squire. He looked over Dewey Porter to Torrey Van Every. Van Every takes the shot. Nice job digging that one out there by Brandon Armstrong, and Armstrong will hit up the floor. He's got Mike Miller on him. Dewey Porter now slides over. And as Armstrong is thrown into the boards, Sullivan picks up and passes off to the offensive bodies as they make their way out. Over 3 minutes gone now in the second quarter. 5-3 in favor of the Demons after a hot start. There's cooled off's Tim Bergen now. Looking to the front door, we are the Demons. Bergen didn't realize as Mo Bissell's there. Nice job by Mac O'Brien, though, getting back in time.
Oh, but Bergen did a nice job of recovering.
It was a good recovery.
Bissell was there and not overrunning Bissell as he changed directions. That's such a common occurrence in that situation.
Chris Atwood on the near side. That one goes around Cole Murray up into the air conditioning duct. And O'Brien He's going to head off for a change here as the Turf Dogs will set up their offensive unit. 5-on-5. It's been a rarity here in the early going of this first semifinal. Of course, we'll be back in on Thursday night from Barrie, the Barrie Blizzard. First seeded Barrie Blizzard facing the Southwest Cyclops. As the Durham bench wants their guys to get back. That was late in the shot clock. Chris Atwood will get it over to the far side. Mo Bissell streaking down there, and the bounce shot fools Murray, and then Atwood into the face of Rennie. And he's going to go after Scott Gamble now. Not sure if that's the one he wants to pick.
Well, you know, Tim Prothero captured a great shot of Gamble and Atwood.
Someone's
face mask to face mask.
Someone's got 10. I believe it's Chris Atwood.
And that could really hurt them.
Keep our eye on that as we look to the replay here, and you can see just a transition play. And we do hear Grant Spees say
goal,
10.
19 from 77 and 47.
Although Gamble's gone as well, so it could be 10 for both of them. Nothing on the board.
Which is a win for Durham if it is. I mean, Scott Gamble's a very good defender. He's solid, he's gritty, he's tough, plays the job very well. But we've seen with Atwood already with 3 goals that he is a difference maker. Will be announced shortly. But Josh Wasson just stood by the edge of the bench and hung his head. There's an over and back play. Ohsweken will take off with the ball.
Blue Hill has it in his stick as Dallas John comes over with it. Wayne Van Every, far side, someone's lost their stick. It's Brandon Armstrong behind the back, picked up by Dallas John. Blue Hill now can't hang on. What a shot there by Dallas John, recognizing Armstrong without the shot. Schuell drives his man into the boards. Dallas John again looking for the corner. And tripped up there is Roger Weiss.
And Weiss was looping around behind the net. Brandon Armstrong was up high, started to back towards him, but if that pass was a little higher and been able to get through, Weiss had a great chance to make that shot count. But Armstrong did a pretty good job of getting in that pass lane, forcing John to try and push something down low to get to Weiss.
So dimes apiece for Scott Gamble and Chris Atwood. You can see Atwood starting to take some of the gear off. He knows he's going to be sitting there for a while, probably until the end of halftime. Wayne Van Every just gets there before the ball gets in the crease, takes the shot, goes hard into the backboards. He's slow getting up as St. John brings it back the other way.
Cole Murray started to race out to try and beat him to the ball, realized it was going to be a mistake and hustled back.
John Zabo had the whistle to his mouth, didn't call the minor interference though. So the moot point though is Demons get the ball and Ken Aaron to the far side. Rod Squire in front, gets a good look, bounces it in on Cole Murray, who makes the save. And the ball comes into the corner. Mike Miller steals it away from Mac O'Brien. Miller looking for help now. Rod Squire comes across. On the crease, down low, Ken Aaron. As the save made by Cole Murray, up for Mike Miller. Shot clock continues to tick down. It did look like it hit Murray though. And Torrey Van Every filled in, looked like he stumbled, and then St. John filled him in the rest of the way. Mike Miller gets another shot away, and this one, Murray makes sure that he saves. And the Turf Dogs will bring it back the other way. Jeff McNulty. And to put a cap on the 10-minute misconducts, we saw that from Grant Spees out in Paris last week. Pulling that trigger pretty quick, so the book should be out on the official here, and Chris Atwood, Scott Gamble both go off, but like you said, that's a win for Durham. As already with the hat trick, Josh Wasson gets it in the corner, and this is where they need to make it count. 6-4 now as we're approaching the back half of the second quarter.
Yeah, and I was starting to say earlier before things kind of took off the other way that Josh Wasson, after the last Ohsweken goal, hung his head a bit because he knew he tried to do too much at the end of the 30-second clock and allowed that break. But here Wasson's going to just throw a hard fake, slide past the man who really sold out for the trying to get the pick. And Wasson slides in and buries that shot. Matt Giles, that is a classic coach's look. That's an okay, whatever you say.
Yeah.
I don't have to agree with you, Rap.
You've asked me to be quiet, so I will oblige. Another face-off win padding the career stats of Mike Atwood. And Cudmore tried to go through him. That's not going to work very often, but nice work on the boards. Started by Cudmore. Eric Schuell was in there as well. This turns into an offensive possession for the Durham Turfdogs as we do hit officials' timeout territory, the midway point of the second quarter. Mac O'Brien up for Bergen. Wasson, the last man off. A spin move on Becker. He goes over for O'Brien, and Henhock to his left. What a save.
And I'll tell you, Durham was looking a little confused about that offensive set, was having trouble getting everybody out there.
Becker to Blue Hill, and then Wayne Van Every dumped on the side of the crease again.
The Turfdogs did create a nice scoring chance, though, but Demons go right back up the floor. And then Farthing almost has one at the other end.
Farthing for Hogarth. He can't find St. John, and the Turfdogs were changing, but all 5 Demons players were deep in Durham's zone, so they don't get to capitalize on that opportunity. Van Every lifts it over St. John. Joe Wasson will go out to the restraining line to meet Ken Aaron. In behind the net now. Comes back for Dallas John. He shoots. Bit of a change-up. Blue Hill pulls it out of the crease. Over the shoulder, Cole Murray comes up with a save. And Dallas John can't hang on. Neither can Joe Wasson as they start a battle on the boards. Mark Farthing trying to cut through Roger Weiss. Lays him out, and then Blue Hill gets up into the face of Farthing, and he's grimacing as he goes off. Remember, just his first game back after about week 3. Yeah, that's not good as he drops to his knees as we watch a shot and a Henhock save. We've seen no one make their way over to Farthing here.
Now they're calling for the trainer to get over there.
Yeah.
Merrick Thompson, one of the assistant coaches, is beckoning for some help for him.
The trainer's not actually on the bench. She's in behind the glass, so I'm not sure she even notices. But we'll return our action to the floor where the Demons have the ball. This pass picked off in front by Dylan Goddard. He changed gears there, looking to beat Tom Montour, went with him the whole way, so now Durham will try and set up as Goddard gets it over for Aaron Brown. His corkscrew shot. Nice pop of the stick there by Dewey Porter. Hustle play by Pete Rennie. Caught up to the ball just in time to stop the over and back. So that results in a shot off the face mask from Dylan Goddard. Henhock resets to the 30. It comes back on the wall for Mac O'Brien. O'Brien with Montour on him, so they'll lift it into neutral zone. And there goes our player to watch. Mark Farthing following the trainer. And now after taking the shot off the face mask, Henhock drops to his knees, so both trainers busy at this point of the game.
Yeah, Farthing has made his way to the dressing room. He was actually directed by Merrick Thompson to head down the bench towards the trainer, and he just made his way through the door behind the bench. And Henhock is down. Their trainer will head out to join him out there. Henhock stayed up for a while, but sometimes the rain just doesn't go away. One thing we're seeing in the Ohsweken end that we've seen from them all year is they're so good at taking advantage of second chances where they'll take a shot, they'll go off the backboard or off the goalie. They've got great hands and they'll pick up that shot and get another chance. Durham's actually been very good at getting loose balls, taking those opportunities away, but we saw one by Blue Hill where he almost scored just recently. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with CLAX semifinal action right after this.
Henhock remains in the net. The trainer has gone back to the bench. As Hogarth, over to McNulty on his wrong side. We're 4.5 away from halftime. Still 6-4 in favor of the Demons, led by that quick start. 2 early goals by Chris Atwood, but he's in the box for 10 minutes. As Wasson again. Josh Wasson, former captain of this team and the Toronto Shooting Stars, puts it in behind Jake Henhock and almost single-handedly bringing his team back into this one.
Yeah, Wasson is fired up. He is excited about this one, and he can be such a dangerous shooter. Here you'll see he's on top of the formation, just slides down, and not the kind of goals he's been scoring a lot of this year. He really hasn't been creating his own shot very much, but just a nice little slip dodge there to get himself open.
Natural hat trick for Josh Wasson as he got one from Hogarth, the next one from Hogarth and McNulty, and this one from Dylan Goddard. He has been in on every single goal, a 5-point evening for Josh Wasson here tonight. So as we consider our 3 stars of the game, tweet us at JVI Video, hashtag 3 stars. That guy better be on your list.
Hang on, he doesn't have one on the Goddard breakout goal from Gamble.
That is correct.
Still put him on your list. I'm not saying don't make him here one of the 3 stars, because he should be.
And now we'll take the officials' timeout as they realize
they haven't taken it yet?
No, sorry. I don't know if this is the officials' timeout, but Henhock is doubled over in the net again.
And it's one difference between these two teams as they come into the postseason is Durham, as you've seen, has no hesitation. There's the standings. Has no hesitation to go to backup goaltender Cole Murray if they feel they need him. The Demons have a lot of faith in Jake Henhock. I think they believe in their young goalies, Brandon Stires and Chase Martin, but they are very young, very inexperienced goalies. You don't want to go to someone with that little experience in a playoff game, so it's rather important for them that Henhock be able to continue. And a nice little gesture by Murray to come away from the bench. And, the goalie union is strong as he gives a little tap of the glove to Jake Henhock.
Yeah, we are at the officials' timeout. You could see that is Chase Martin, the backup goaltender. He did get a start earlier this year.
He was lit up.
Yeah, he was lit up. I was trying to remember his junior B stats. They were
something
good. Ridiculous.
He
like
was
4
outstanding
wins,
with the junior.
4 losses over
Rebels.
4 years, something like that. Yeah,
he was unbelievable as a junior B goalie, winning Founders Cup championships with the Rebels. He is so good. Let us know who you think should be the 3 stars of the game. Tweet us at JVI Video and tell us. And again, Josh Wasson's got to be on there at this point.
Yeah, I
Chris
think
Atwood with a few goals.
There's 2 other spots up for grabs as Atwood got things started. We'll let you decide if the 10-minute misconduct, the 12 minutes out of 30 he's missed in this opening period, has anything to do with your decision. But interesting point here. Cole Murray, the last 2 stoppages, has gone to the bench but left his stick in the net
against the crossbar.
Yeah, we'll have to. Goalies do some peculiar things, and I guess Cole Murray's got his vices as well.
Cole Murray's one of those goalies that when he's playing, he sits out on the bench between periods usually. Doesn't really go and join his teammates. And, it's just one other little quirk.
Here's Dallas John. That one goes just over the shoulder of Cole Murray. I thought it may have hit him. The official disagrees. So Blue Hill will have to try and beat the shot clock. It's at 4, rolls it in. And Murray slows down the aforementioned stick, making that stop as it goes into the mesh.
And boy, did Dallas John want the ball right on the crease at the edge of the goal. He was jumping up and down, hoping to get a quick stick attempt.
Down low is McNulty here. Durham's come all the way back. They were down 4-0 early. Now they're staring down a 1-goal deficit, trying to tie it up before halftime. They'll get another 30 seconds to do that, so deep in Ohsweken zone with the Demons far from their bench. The Turf Dogs will change up bodies here. Jumping into a shot, John St. John slams the stick in disgust. After that one was saved, Aaron Brown, first man back. He's watching the door. Now John St. John catches up to him. Dallas John on the far side. The one-handed cradle and the one-arm ward off. A la field lacrosse. There's pardon me, Kenny Aaron shooting into the legs of Pete Rennie. And I'm surprised that Rennie got up from that. I don't think he's 100%, but a long way from home. He'll stay out for the Demon set. Comes from the outside. That shot goes in, and Cole Murray makes the save.
That's a sharp little play by Johnny St. John. Didn't realize the ball was there, and when he did, he quickly kicked it up to himself, and with men all over him, and got it up into the offensive zone. Now he'll give it up.
Here comes St. John over for Schewel. Josh Wasson, the star so far, brings it outside the restraining line. Back for Goddard. He goes down low into the corner. Mac O'Brien back for Schewel, who's cycled over. From the outside, Wasson again. They had Hogarth in front. Henhock with the save. And dug out by Wasson now. Going after him, Mike Miller. He's got a slashing penalty as Mac O'Brien gets it. Now Wasson's going to head off. What a shift for Josh Wasson. What a first half. 80 seconds remain. Delayed penalty coming from Grant Speece. It'll go against Mike Miller as soon as we stop play. Here's Dylan Goddard. Cole Murray on the bench. Goddard shoots it into the feet of Montour. Chases on. Joe Wasson gets there first. Maybe not as Mike Miller touches up and the whistle's blown.
Yeah, the Turf Dogs will go to the power play for the final minute 8 of this second quarter unless they can score and get it out. And you see Atwood and
Scott Gamble
still in the penalty box. They will, of course, with the 2 and 10s that they took, sit for the rest of this half. And
that time Cole Murray took his stick.
Yes, he did. Look at that. How odd that you do it for a couple and then take it with you.
Well, that time he ran off for the change. They've got 4 on the board for Mike Miller.
35. I think, well, he took 1. I think he took a second one. You were right, I think, that the Turf Dog got there first for the ball, but because of the second penalty, they blew play down.
Okay. John St. John tried to get a quick shot there on the crease. Bounces all the way up for Dylan Goddard. Goddard over for Bergen. Goddard again up top. We've got another penalty coming in front as Thomas Hogarth fell. And now the Demons are going to be 2 men down.
Oh, right, it's not. You know, if, of course, it was 2 separate players that had taken those 2 penalties earlier, this would be a penalty shot for Durham. But because it was Miller taking both, he just gets the 4 minutes. Now you'll send Squire off, and it is 5-on-3, a great opportunity, and more good news for the Turf Dogs. Mark Farthing is back out on the floor as the safety valve up high.
Yeah, not sure he looks himself still, though, but 35 seconds. They go for Goddard. They go Tim Bergen. Down low, here's Wasson reaching through, and Henhock plugs up the 5-hole, so Travis Hill will bring it out of his own crease. Goddard all over him, trying to force a 10-second count. Travis Hill. He was looking for Wayne Van Every, who made a quick change. Farthing will roll it to the far side, and immediately the body's on Farthing as they recognize the injury and the recovery as Bergen gets it in front of his own bench. All 4 coaches on the bench were signaling timeout. They'll take it with 11.9 on the clock.
And a 5-on-3, so obviously Cole Murray doesn't need to come to the bench. He'll just stay down. He'll come out, though, bring a stick with him and have a chat with the officials at mid-floor, just pointing out a few things to them. But it will be a great opportunity here for Durham to tie things up as we go to halftime.
This broadcast is brought to you by the Canadian Lacrosse League and the JVI Sports Network. Visit CanadianLacrosse.com and JVISportsNetwork.com to have your event covered by our outstanding crew. And of course, the Roland Systems Group. They provide all the audio and video equipment that we use here for our CLAX broadcasts. And we are greatly indebted to the folks at the Roland Systems Group. Visit them at RolandSystemGroup.com. 11.9 before we send the teams to the room. It is a 5-on-3 set. Again, Mark Farthing will be the safety valve. Cole Murray remains in the net as the clock continues to tick down here. Bergen on the crease. McNulty can't hang on and couldn't touch up either as there Henhock releases it down the floor. And Farthing had it at center, but they can't get another chance. But they'll get plenty in the second half. They'll start 5-on-3.
And of course, in CLAX, that is penalty shot territory at any point in the game if you have 2 men in the box. So Durham will keep the pressure on, and this weekend it better be careful because Durham has really built up a lot of momentum since they trailed 4-0 and then 5-1 early in the game.
It was a quick start for Durham, for Ohsweken leading 4-0 like you said. But Durham has clawed their way back. Discipline is starting to come into play. What will the story be in 15 minutes time? Half an hour to decide who goes on to the Creators Cup Final.
come play like a pro with Junior CLAX. Want to play winter box lacrosse in the same great venues as the pros? Well, here's your chance. CLAX operates a winter box lacrosse league for kids. Divisions range from U9 to the Prospect Division, or U18. Teams are located in Barrie, Oshawa, Niagara, Six Nations, and Paris, with games being played on the same days as the pros. Be sure you get yourself registered today, as the season starts January 2015. For more information, please visit CanadianLacrosse.com and come play like a pro. St. William's Nursery is Ontario's largest native plant nursery and is committed to biodiversity conservation. We offer a large selection of high-quality trees, shrubs, grasses, wildflower, and seed, all which are grown from a source-identified, wild-collected seed. Visit us on May 2nd and 3rd at our annual spring public sale. Choose from a beautiful selection of species, all at special wholesale pricing. Visit us at stwilliamsnursery.com for details.
Also winning MVP as a member of Six Nations senior teams, he is still a great ambassador for the game of lacrosse and is respected for his sportsmanship on and off the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Paul Hancock. Jackie Red Hill was known for his strong play at both ends of the floor and was a gifted goal scorer during his playing career from the 1960s till the 1970s. He was also a well-respected player. He won a Senior B championship with the Brantford Super Test Warriors. Ladies and gentlemen, Jackie Red Hill. Willie Logan played for intermediate and senior teams based out of Kitchener, Hamilton, and St. Catharines during his playing career from the 1950s to the 1960s. He was a member of the Ohsweken team that won a Can-Am championship. Willie now produces wooden lacrosse sticks and is known for the Logan Special. Fans, please put your hands together for Willie Logan. Chuck Martin Jr. had a decorated career spanning from the 1970s to the 1990s. He was a top scorer for 5 consecutive years from 1979 to 1984. He was named OLA Senior B League MVP and leading scorer in 1982 and 1988. He won the President's Cup in 1985 and 1993 for the North Shore Indians. Chuck also played with the Six Nations teams that participated in the Commonwealth Games in 1978. Ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Martin Jr. Ron Hum Thomas was a goaltender from 1957 to 1978. He was the outstanding goalie in Senior B for Brantford in 1968. He also won the President's Cup in Brantford in 1967 and Man Cup championships in Brantford in 1971. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Ron Hum Thomas. Fans, once again, let's hear it for these lacrosse legends from right here at Six Nations. Paul Hennock, Jackie Red Hill, Willie Logan, Chuck Martin Jr., and Ron Hum Thomas. All of these legends will be available for meet and greet in the main lobby area for the remainder of halftime. Come down and say hi to these Six Nations lacrosse legends. We're looking for the Wild.
"30 minutes in the books, 30 minutes to decide who heads to the Creators Cup final." We're still 90 seconds away from the second half. The Durham Turfdogs, they've got their line on the floor, their whole team huddled on the bench. We're awaiting the arrival of the Ohsweken Demons. This is where the Creators Cup will be, so get out your day timers, your tablets. Grandpa, get your Palm Pilot out. If Barrie wins on Thursday, they'll host Sunday, April the 5th. That is Easter Sunday, 2 p.m. start at the Barrie Molson Center. If Ohsweken wins and Barrie loses in the semis, Ohsweken will host Saturday, April the 4th at 7:30 right here, and a 7:30 game at the General Motors Center if both Durham and Southwest win their respective semifinals. And again, that's where the hardware will be handed out.
Yeah. So if Barrie wins, they host. If Barrie loses on Thursday, the winner of this game hosts on Saturday. Just to simplify things up a little bit, because I'm trying to read that right now, and I'm needing a bit more flow chart there.
Of course,
all
that information on CanadianLacrosse.com, and be sure to check out at CLAX League on Twitter. Our 3 stars of the game at JVI Video on Twitter. Use the hashtag 3stars. As we said, a great first half for Josh Wasson, the Durham Turfdogs. Chris Atwood, Scott Gamble go back to their respective benches as their 10-minute misconducts are over. Chris Atwood could be in consideration as he got the game started with a couple quick goals. But Rod Squire and Mike Miller remain in the penalty box for 1 minute and 18 seconds. So it will be a 5-on-3 for the Durham Turfdogs in penalty shot territory for the Ohsweken Demons.
Yeah, and 4 goals total along with an assist for Chris Atwood. So he certainly had a huge impact on the game. All of those, of course, coming in the first quarter when he was still on the floor.
He did miss, like we said, much of that first half. Could you imagine what a half he would have had he not taken those 12 minutes of penalties? 12 plus, because he had to wait for a dead ball for the 10. Oh, Josh
beautiful.
Wasson continues where he left off. It takes him 19 seconds to tie this one up.
And we've talked about it through the last few years. This franchise has loved that cross crease pass, and Wasson uses that knowledge that everyone knows it to his advantage. Watch this fake, and then he pulls it back and tucks it home. And that is a lovely fake over to them. And I'll tell you, getting the draw, the win off the faceoff really helped them to get that going. That will knock off, it's actually knocking 2 minutes off of the first penalty from Mike Miller.
That's the one that made them shorthanded.
First, yeah. So
we're still 5-on-3. Travis Hill didn't like that call, but now they got to be careful again. Still in penalty shot territory here. 53 seconds for them to get another goal. We're tied up at 6. As the Turf Dogs get possession again, thanks to the face-off win by Mike Cudmore.
Interesting question. If the Turf Dogs were to happen to get a penalty shot, who do you give it to? Josh Wasson has 4 goals, but I'd be inclined to go with Dylan Goddard, but tough not to go with the hot hand.
Tim Bergen, Wasson again. Now he passes, and same result. Jeff McNulty. How do you defend that?
You don't. I mean, you can see they just had no answer for it. It's tougher in the 4-on-3, which is effectively what they're playing, than it is on the 5-on-4. There's just so much more open turf. He's trying to cover it, and there's no way for Henhock to get across 43, and make that play.
91.
You can see they've got 2 high players, defensive players.
35 was in first and had 4,
right?
So he's out now, right?
Now I need another guy in for the goaltender for a delay game.
Oh,
delay of game coming now. Is that on Henhock?
Henhock got another delay of game penalty. I think what happened, it's the same call from the first period. He took the ball out of the net himself and flipped it away from the official, which he's done twice now, and he's looking for an explanation, not getting one. I think for the officials, you know,
he's
consistent.
consistent. Croswell got one earlier.
Yeah.
That's the last thing Croswell did in the game, pretty much. As it was on the, it was with 16 seconds left.
Yeah, pardon me. I said that was Henhock's before, but it is.
It was Croswell, yeah. And again, it's Mike Miller out taking the draw. Matt Giles is concerned about something.
No, they've got the wrong number on the game clock. I think that's what he was yelling about. But
here's what we should be seeing.
Yeah, a minute. Our director, Alex Frazow, has a 129 power play, but on the board there's 28. But when they restarted play, it was down to 59, so I don't believe that we're correct.
All right, Pointer's making Mike Miller taking the face-off instead of Mike Atwood. I'm not sure why Atwood not out there, because he has been money for them for several years in the face-off circle. Instead, Durham gets the ball again and goes back up 5-on-3.
One thing that's unique to Canadian lacrosse, though, they do have set lines, so maybe their set 3-man or 2-man down rotation is just they went with the set line instead of a draw team. I don't say I agree with it. I'm just saying from a coach's perspective, that could be where they're going. And if Travis Hill's on the floor, why is he not at the dot?
Yeah.
That's why they're on the bench and we're up here. Backing into a check. Wayne Van Every still manages the shot and the goal with Mac O'Brien all over him.
Dylan Goddard did such a good job racing back to take away the pass to Rod Squire, who was hustling down, and Van Every just made it all about his move here. You're going to see the hustle there by Goddard taking away the option, and just a bold shoulder and then tucking it underhand. That's a sneaky little play by Van Every and really halts the momentum. And there's Mike Atwood battling for a face-off once again.
Against Cudmore, and with all that tangling and tying up in front, it ends up in the stick of the Turf Dogs. And Durham now with a minute power play. We're back tied 7-all, as it was all Demons, then all Turf Dogs. That's how the first half went. Looks like we're going to go back and forth here in the second. Hogarth into the corner for Wasson. Bergen up top, back for Hogarth again. Here's Bergen. Looked like he looked off. Hogarth went to Wasson. Wasson McNulty in the middle this time. They tried on the crease. They've gone down low. 3 different looks of the same play. 3 same results.
Well, and I don't think Thomas Hogarth knew that pass wasn't for him. He just saw the pass coming, but it did go past into Wasson. As you'll see here, Look at Hogarth thinks it's coming to him. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he let it go. If so, that's a brilliant play by Thomas Hogarth to dummy that he's taken the pass, let it go to Wasson, which is a brilliant decision.
Yeah, why not
at
tonight?
any point. And he gets over to McNulty. Here comes Atwood the other way.
Ball in the back of the stick, takes the shot, bounces off the backboards, up into the rafters, doesn't hit anything before it gets there. So in stride, Nevin Sullivan gets the restart. 2.5 minutes in, we've already got 3 goals on the board here in this third quarter. Aaron Brown trying to keep the streak alive. The first lead of the game for the Durham Turfdogs since they went down 4-0 early in the first.
And that one was dangerous because it went off the defender and skittered sideways away from Jake Henhock. We have some rough stuff behind the play. St. John and Travis Hill, they're both going to go as they continue to go after each other. The buckets come off. They're going to throw him. St. John shaking his glove off. Hill's got his off. They are landing them.
This has been coming all game long. Travis Hill laying into John St. John. This started with a bit of a body slam from Travis Hill. And, St. John eats a couple, so does Hill. What a scrap as we've got a couple people in front. They go to the turf as the fans rise to their feet. What a scrap at the ILA.
Well, that's been coming since before the opening face-off.
Yeah.
We talked about those two giving it some pishes and shoves and words. We had guys at the other side. We had 3 sets, 3 pairs of players who were kind of pushing and chirping to that before the opening face-off. And St. John, it's just 5 minutes for each of them. I wonder if they're going to go 2 and 5, actually. It sounded like you just said 5, but the whistle was blown to give them 2 apiece initially. So they may get 2 and 5. We'll have to hear when it's announced, but that was quite a tilt, a middleweight bout between John St. John and Travis Hill. And there was the one point in the middle where Travis Hill kind of hesitated, and St. John kind of stood up and looked at him like, is it over? And Hill threw a bomb at him. And St. John
There's
followed
your
it up.
answer.
Yeah, it's not. It's on, buddy. But St. John hit him with a couple of big ones. Then Hill landed some. We see some fights where there's a lot of punches thrown, but nothing landing. Those punches were landing.
And a lot of punches thrown and landed. Got to go to the Letterman scorecard for that one. As they'll sit, they officially announced 5 each, but that's secondary at this point. We'll see who it fires up more, the Demons or the Turf Dogs. But like you said, that's been coming for a while. Atwood's got it in the corner. Gamble on him. Rod Squire comes to pick out Gamble. Now coming into even numbers, Mark Farthing, Torrey Van Every, and Wayne Van Every underneath the shot clock, which now reads 6 seconds before the Demons come away with it. Really bad angle shot there from Atwood as Murray made the save. And drug out by Atwood. A little half effort there from Wayne Van Every as he took the shot. It bounced all the way up and returned again, and it falls out of the stick of the Turf Dog player. Wayne Van Every digs in for it, but he was tripped up. So the Turf Dogs now will get their counterattack. Took a while to come, and that was a long shift for Atwood, but he looks off the bench as he gets back in the play. He's going to hang out at center floor, though. We've seen this before. Montour's looking for him. Still looking, but Turf Dog player got back. I believe it was Wasson.
And Torrey Van Every didn't see him, or he had a chance to get it over to Atwood.
Cole Murray with the stick. He leaves it behind on the timeouts, and that stick was prepared. Chris Atwood, he's engaged with Josh Wasson. Nevin Sullivan in there as well. Sullivan does come away with it. They get the reset, and they go off to the races. Players come piling out the front door, just one of them though, as Joe Wasson stays down the floor, as does Josh, and Joe's going to take the front door. Dallas John with the ball. He's collided there by Nevin Sullivan. Elijah Printup goes to the far side. We're back to 5-on-5 lacrosse. Just the Fighting Majors in the penalty box at the moment. Pace has really picked up here in the third quarter. We're under 10 minutes to go. Outside Blue Hill. He's got Elijah Printup. Printup gets around Sullivan. A pick and roll now. Blue Hill in all alone. The left arm of Murray comes out. And another loose ball. No one wants to hang on as it gets away from Joe Wasson. Comes into the stick of Wayne Van Every. He's got Mo Bissell at the face-off dot. And it looks like Ohsweken will slow things down here to get a change.
There's been some kind of sloppy play with the ball bouncing around, but it's really emanating largely from the sheer effort level that these teams are giving to every loose ball.
Rod Squire from outside skips it past the right side of Murray, and we're knotted again, but Squire got in the face of somebody, and officials barged in as Brandon Armstrong looks like he's getting the gate here.
And Cole Murray has been so sharp. 27. They're wondering who it is. It's 27. Rod Squire gets the pass here, fires it around
27 from 4, and
the screen.
just leave it at that. This guy number
That's
here,
it, 27 from
Armstrong. 2
There's
minutes.
the
slashing.
save. Grand larceny by Cole Murray. He had another great save where he's very sharp, but he probably like that one on the last shot by Rod Squire back. And as we even up at 8-8, it will now be a 2-minute penalty for Armstrong after the play. Here's that save again. Oh. I've had that happen to me as a shooter, and it is not fun.
It is, for that reason, just one of those things that changes momentum.
Yeah.
And after the scrap, after that save, like you said, the effort level really picked up. But it's another shorthanded situation for the Turf Dogs coming off of a goal, so a full 2 minutes as we're tied 8-8 again. Look down, Blue Hill sneaks it through. There was a tiny hole on the side of Murray, and the Turf Dog lead is short-lived as two quick ones for Ohsweken makes it 9-8.
And Chris Atwood won't get an assist on this. He didn't play a direct role, but he is so important. He makes the pass across here. It's going to come up from Torrey Van Every device, and the fact of Chris Atwood being there draws a lot of attention from the Durham defenders and from Cole Murray. They go down to Blue Hill, who is kind of the fifth guy on that power play in a lot of ways because you have so much dangerous talent out there. But Blue Hill shows he is just as much capable of putting the ball in as anyone else.
Well, in that replay, you could see both Hogarth and Schewel with their eyes on the shooter of Chris Atwood. Atwood trying to send it to the far side for Wayne Van Every again. And that's a guy you don't want getting going. That one bounces out of the stick of Atwood. He gets there first and touches up ahead of Goddard. Otherwise, Goddard was off. In all alone on Henhock. That's a smart play by Atwood.
It is a good hustle play to get back and take the over and back rather than letting the breakaway go.
8.5 to go here in the third quarter. In a minute, we'll be in officials' timeout territory. Tim Bergen goes through, still gets the pass away as he circled the net. It went to McNulty for Goddard. McNulty has it back again off the leg and into the mesh. In behind Henhock. And guess what? We're tied.
Well, Durham moving the ball very well. I actually thought Ohsweken was doing a pretty nice job of keeping the Turf Dogs moving around the outside, but you'll hear it. It's McNulty from Goddard. Goddard will just make the quick little pass down. And that's when we talked about how Murray would probably like the last one back. I think Jake Henhock would like that back. That's the kind of goal you usually don't get on Jake Henhock. He looked as though he may have thought that McNulty was going to the far side because he was actually moving to his right and opened some space.
Atwood with it in his stick again, draws the double team. Pete Rennie came from the far restraining line to catch up and get a couple whacks on the hand. And Atwood has that roll away from him. Scott Gamble brings it up over center. Gamble across the restraining line. McNulty now on his wrong side as the Turf Dogs get their draw team off. Goddard from the face-off dot. Looks for Wasson up top. He steps into a shot again. This one off the backboards. Hustling after it again is Goddard. He's got Wayne Van Every giving chase now. Tries that cheeky shot again through the 5-hole. This time, Henhock makes sure that it's closed, and Henhock is down and not getting up here. They're going to call for the trainer again.
Yeah, Henhock maybe shaken up again, but that's one of those shots late in the shot clock. Dylan Goddard just fires that one, but well aware that his teammates were headed off for a change, so he had some backup. Wasn't going to create a breakaway the other direction if he did get the shot right into the stick of Henhock or off of him and out the other way. So pretty good decision. And it looks like Chase Martin is going for his stick. This could be huge as Henhock is down on his knees and Martin is grabbing his gear and coming onto the floor. The backup goalie, we talked about this earlier, how important it is that Jake Henhock stay healthy because they do have the young, inexperienced netminders behind him. Martin has walked from one end of the bench to the other and steps back in. And now he's stretching.
And I don't know if that's a time violation or because that happened too frequently, I guess. The officials have actually called for change. Chase Martin will come in for Henhock here, and Chris Atwood is getting attention from the training staff in the tunnel. So 2 developing stories we'll get. Is Atwood going to the room now? There's a big garage door to the right of the bench. There's the stats. There are the aforementioned Junior B stats. 4 losses to 62 wins. South of a 7 goals against average in Junior B. That's pretty good.
That's a dynasty that the Rebels have built down there.
And remember, in last year's Creators Cup Championship game, it was Jake Henhock who went down with a concussion and dehydration. So pretty similar situation, at least from the looks like it up here. Obviously, we're not going to speculate of any injury or anything like that, but Henhock out of this game, and Atwood's got the jersey off, and he's heading to the room is Chris Atwood.
Well, I was going to say in this second half as it got started that the big keys were for Durham, how they can handle Chris Atwood, keep him in check. For Ohsweken, their discipline, not taking penalties, and Atwood being hurt takes care of one of those.
Yeah, but Montour, Tim Bergen reaches over Montour and flips it back. That allows the defenders to get back in position, and Dewey Porter shoots it wide. Brandon Armstrong down the floor, airmails it way over top of Mac O'Brien, and Chase Martin's first action is to take Mac O'Brien out of the play.
And that's a young player getting a little overexcited, Brandon Armstrong, the rookie.
Montour far side, look at the ball movement. They tried to tic-tac-toe. Printup couldn't connect. Montour gets the shot. Murray the save, and they go back the other way. Armstrong streaking through center, the swipe and the miss from Elijah Printup. Ball goes into the corner. Dug out by Schuwel. Eric Schuwel to the half boards for Josh Wasson. And Wasson will slow things down and let the Turf Dogs make a change. Wasson was harassed there by Montour, so the pass skips away from Goddard. He does pick it up, 5 on the shot clock, down for Bergen. How does he catch that pass? The shot, and Martin with his first save of the game.
Bergen, a great job of keeping his stick close to his body so the defender couldn't see where the ball was until it got right on top of him, and then he stuck it out and caught it, and somehow still managed to get the shot off.
Tom Montour can't accept the pass from Roger Weiss at the restraining line as it bounds off a couple sticks. Weiss gets a second chance here. 5 on the clock. Murray went down, shot went high off the back glass. Blue Hill will flip it up into the seats as the shot clock expires. And we will take the officials' timeout with just over 5 minutes to play in the third quarter.
What a run of lacrosse. We'll take a break here, but this is something else.
I need a breather. Take one yourselves. Cole Murray leaves the stick in the cage. We're tied at 9. Four goaltenders dressed for this game. There's 2 of them in the black and orange jerseys. Chase Martin on the left. He makes his way back to man the net for the Demons, and you can see still looks like in some discomfort. Jake Henhock on the bench for the Ohsweken Demons. Of course, Kevin Croswell got the start. Cole Murray in for him. at the officials' timeout of the first quarter. Let us know who you think the 3 stars of the game should be. Tweet us at JVI Video and use the hashtag 3stars as Durham will get the ball here, trying to break the deadlock that we've been at since very early on in this half.
Yeah, 7 goals in the first 7 minutes between these teams, nothing in the last 3. We'll see who is able to break this deadlock.
And for how long?
Yes.
There's something about playoffs in the Canadian Lacrosse League. I think the largest margin of victory was 3 goals, and that came a couple years ago.
It just breeds exciting lacrosse.
Here's Thomas Hogarth. Dropped in front was John St. John. He gets up awkwardly as the shot clock expires. We want to thank all our live listeners for tuning in. Just getting word, our largest attendance numbers for a live broadcast. Semifinal number 1, a pick and roll in front. Tori Van Every off the post. And those are our largest numbers for this season in Canadian lacrosse.
What a save by Cole Murray on Tori Van Every. He had the 17 regular season goals, and Murray just stones him as he comes across naked on top of the crease.
Dylan Goddard at the face-off dot. A shooting lane opens in front of him, and that wasn't far from right in the bean of Chase Martin. Picked off the carpet. Here comes Tori Van Every. He'll get a second chance, trying to barrel through the check of Josh Wasson. He holds his ground. The pass for Dallas John, and that's hard to do. Stand up to Tori Van Every,
especially when he's got a head of steam. But Josh Wasson did stand up and get his gloves and stick up into the grill of Van Every. He just took away any scoring chance for him. He had to throw it back out.
Bench doesn't like the fact that the Demons have the ball. Chris Atwood is back on the floor. He's going to go to the net and takes the shot. Roger Weiss chases down the rebound. 15 on the shot clock as Weiss comes over the top. Out of the reach of Mo Bissell. Josh Wasson on the loosey over for Aaron Brown. And the Turf Dogs in transition. They go for Sullivan on the crease. Is that Brown again? Where's the ball? The Turf Dogs say it was in. The official says no. As Chase Martin kept it in front of him.
Dylan Goddard very close to getting another one as he was on his offside and kind of crossed hands to try and trickle one through.
Comes Montour trying to do everything he can to get away from Pete Rennie. Now leans in, tries to reach over top and take the shot. Ball fell out of the back. Picking it out of midair. Back for Van Every. A second save for Murray. In the corner, Wasson gets sandwiched there by Montour and Van Every. Pete Rennie over to help out. Pardon me, now Rennie goes in, as that was Nevin Sullivan there initially. Van Every comes out with it with 10 on the clock. Now it resets for Elijah Printup. Wayne Van Every. Mike Miller provides the pick. Van Every in. That one's off the pipe. Moot point on the shot clock resetting. As Printup up for Mike Miller. Flips it now for Bissell. Wayne Van Every again. Nevin Sullivan gets his foot on that. Printup picks it up. No one around. As Murray stands tall, you can see him puff the shoulders out and take the whole entire net away.
Murray's been awfully good since coming in after the 5th Ohsweken goal.
So as Chase Murray, the scoring has slowed down, but not for a lack of transition and offensive opportunities. Less than 2 to go here. Travis Hill and Joe Wasson are tangled up. As John St. John with the shot, Chase Martin had to go to his left as the cage was open. And they're going to say someone ran through the crease. A quick restart. Blue Hill gets it over center. He'll slow up though. Staring down 4 green jerseys and fresh legs for the Demons. Diving through Roger Weiss as 90 seconds away from the end of the third quarter as Josh Becker hard into the boards. Comes away with the loose ball though. And it comes back up for Chris Atwood. He's got Roger Weiss in front who goes behind his back. Gets the shot away and 3 Demons collide on that ball as Mac O'Brien touches up. Hogarth with another incredible play to roll it to John St. John. And then John St. John over the head of Schewel, turning and firing. Aaron Brown, where's the ball? diving through, bats at it. He's got to pick it out and shoot, and they call no goal on Aaron Brown.
Correctly. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't just bat the ball in.
And
you have to pick it up, possess it in the mesh of your stick to do that. So correct call, but
Aaron Brown didn't like the call, but it looks like Mark Farthing and Kevin Croswell are giving him the instruction. I think Kevin Croswell would know that rule better than anyone.
Yeah.
As he explains it, Aaron Brown has recovered. Here's Chris Atwood up for Tom Montour, Torrey Van Every. And of course, following the game, our post-game show, including our 3 stars of the game. Tweet us at JVI Video. There's a shot that goes wide and falling in front as 2 players climb the ladder. We've got 20 seconds. Wayne Van Every still tangled up there. Looked like he may have had a bit of a grab of the stick of Mike Cudmore. Durham with the last opportunity with Bergen with 3 on the clock. Goddard into the corner, spinning away John St. John. The shot, where's the ball? And the time has expired. We saw Chase Martin do a bit of a butt slide to his right, got up with the ball underneath of him.
And Durham had lots of time down there. Here's Aaron Brown is diving in and just knocking the ball in. He understands now that that's no goal, but nice effort. But at the end, Durham really kind of squandered most of the 22 seconds they had. Still got a scoring opportunity though, but just didn't get it tucked away.
Intermission activities here in the building. An exciting 15 to come. That'll decide the first entrant in the Creators Cup Championship game.
Academy of Learning College has identified the gap between education and the stressors of the working world. We develop customized programs for each student at an affordable cost. Students can choose from over 30 diploma and certificate programs offered at any of Academy of Learning College's 17 Ontario-based locations. Simply a better way to learn. Learn more at academyoflearning.com. Fire Monitoring of Canada is the leader in the fire alarm monitoring industry, specializing in the early notification of fire alarm signals to the fire department. Our experienced customer service staff will work closely with you to develop the best solution for your specific monitoring needs, and our CFAA certified technicians are qualified to perform your installation quickly and efficiently. Be sure to choose Fire Monitoring of Canada because saving time saves lives. Visit us at fire-monitoring.com.
Canadian Lacrosse League action on the JVI Sports Network. Matthew Carrick, Steven Stamp on our incredible crew in for a barn burner of a semifinal. Our 3 stars of the game. Tweet us at JVI Video. Use the hashtag 3stars. Do we consider backup goaltenders at this point, Steven?
Oh, I think there's no question that Cole Murray has to be considered a candidate here. The last 5 minutes of that quarter, the Demons had so many more chances than the Durham Turfdogs did. Ohsweken really taking over control of the flow of the game and creating some huge chances, some second chance opportunities, and Cole Murray just making save after save. Chase Martin's been pretty good for Six Nations, or for Ohsweken as well, and certainly has to be commended on the job he's done, but really hasn't faced the same level of challenge. There's a nice job by Cudmore to look like he was going to come up with a face-off, and then the Demons get after it. Everyone's battling for it, and eventually it is Cudmore that comes up with it, and he'll bounce it over, and Durham takes possession. Durham running the ball. Brandon Armstrong being trailed by Tommy Montour. He gets away from him, gets it over to Josh Wasson. There's still a stick on the floor. The player who had it jumped off, though, so all the Ohsweken Demon defenders have their sticks. There's the pass over to the far side. St. John's going to come up top to Mac O'Brien out playing an offensive shift. Quick shot by Aaron Brown, goes just a little wide. Mike Miller takes it off the backboards, gets it up to Dewey Porter. Porter's coming down, goes to the far side. Chris Atwood looking for some help. He'll go back up to Squire. Now it's Kenny Aaron going down low. Demons setting up on offense with 14 to shoot. There's a pass inside. Squire can't quite handle it with St. John all over him. Then St. John just knocks it away. Comes straight out top though. It bounces. St. John made a nice play, but it bounced off the boards. Came right out to the worst man you can possibly hope to see the ball come to if you're a Durham Turf Dog. Chris Atwood buries the goal.
That puts him on the board for yet another one. Pretty quiet since the first quarter. Most of that because he was sitting down, getting the socks out. As this is his 6th. You can see the number of times this play breaks down. There's one from Squire, another one from St. John. It goes off another body, and the ever alert, always aware if there's a loose ball in the offensive zone, you know Chris Atwood's going to get it, and he does right in front, point blank, for his 6th of the game.
Yeah, 5 goals and an assist for the 6 points for Atwood. What a night. And could that have been a worse break for Durham? As the play by St. John bounces off the backboards and comes out, and then bounces off the butt of Mac O'Brien straight to Atwood. They set up again, the Demons, after getting possession of the ball, and Josh Becker goes down low. Some solid defense on Roger Weiss by Eric Schul. They're going to move it up top for a shot by Printup. That one's stopped by Murray, and the pass across skips away. We have a couple guys tangling at the side of the crease, as you can see. Meanwhile, the ball's out at mid-floor. Cudmore with a big hit, pops the ball loose, and here comes Goddard heading in alone, scores! And the whistle blows behind the play. The whistle had
gone before that. We'll see what the call is.
The ball was in first. The ball was in before the whistle. I was watching very carefully. Strange time to blow the whistle anyway while there is a break. If you're going to let the play continue, let it continue, I think. But
yeah, no kidding.
We'll see what they decide. It should be a goal from what I saw because the ball was in. I was watching right on top of him and heard the whistle after Goddard's shot went in, but I don't think Durham's going to get a goal out of this.
2-minute roughing penalty.
Offsetting roughing penalties and no goal on the board.
Grant Spees and Brent McCauley having a chat.
And while they do that, 2013, the playoff scores 11-9, the Durham Turf Dogs. 15-14, the Ironmen over the Demons. 16-15, the Ironmen over Niagara.
Wasn't that overtime?
Those were both overtime. Overtime, 11-10, the Shooting Stars over Durham Turf Dogs. And then 14-11, the Iroquois Ironmen win the Creators Cup Championship over the Toronto Shooting Stars. So, like we said, the playoffs, especially in this building, get a little ridiculous.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to Jim Dasberg today about that, one of the assistant coaches with the Turf Dogs. He was coaching the Toronto Shooting Stars that year, and he pointed out that they lost their goaltender, the star of the league, Angus Donnelly. Yep. Sound familiar? They lost him because he was signed by the Philadelphia Wings, and went up.
Oh,
and
Matt Giles is
screaming. He wants that goal. He is so upset, and he has every right to be upset because that ball was in before the whistle went. That's a really, really big mistake.
Goaltenders that day, Gary Muzzin and Craig Robertson split duties for the Toronto Shooting Stars. Jake Lazor got the win for the Iroquois Ironmen.
Well, Gary Muzzin wasn't a bad goalie, but he was not good that day. He had a terrible outing, gave up about 5 goals quickly, and Durham and Toronto could just not recover.
Again, like we said, every single Creators Cup championship has been decided on this turf right here. The Demons hope to make it another one. They'll need to get past Durham here tonight, and they'll need some help from Southwest on Thursday. Van Every, Wayne. Here's Blue Hill. Chris Atwood, far side. His sidearm shot from a bad angle. Cole Murray does make the save. The bench still upset they didn't get that tying goal. They get another chance here, though, with Mac O'Brien. A nice job by Wayne Van Every to bat it back out of the way.
And Aaron Brown, not known for his offensive contributions, made a pretty nice play to wait just for the opportunity where he could get that pass through a small window to O'Brien. Didn't quite complete, though.
Cudmore off the bench. Heads up play as he went over to stop the over and back violation, and then they got a quick shot from the crease from Mac O'Brien.
Went to the backside of the mesh, though, so the 30-second shot clock does expire. Ohsweken will come back the other way.
Here's Wayne Van Every up over the restraining line. Van Every for Mo Bissell. Cudmore out to play on him. Bissell over for Chris Atwood. A pick on Schuwell. There's a shot from Dallas John off the arm of Cole Murray. That's going to go all the way down the floor for Chase Martin. Martin for Van Every. Van Every gets it into the corner from Mo Bissell. Van Every's going to direct traffic now as the penalties expire. Bissell, hard pick on Armstrong, no call. And Armstrong returns the favor as Bissell goes for the loose ball. Wayne Van Every loses his stick. Bissell taking the shot, Dallas John, the other red shoe player.
Every coach on the Durham bench screaming, wondering why there was a reset there.
Josh Becker kept outside. Dallas John trying to get it back for him. Mo Bissell chases it down at center. Gamble trying to push Bissell aside. Bissell still trying to get it in his stick as it bounds around in front of Cole Murray. And now there's going to be a jousting match before Armstrong steals it away. And the 30-second clock, 45 depending who you ask, does expire on the Demons. And Durham will get their shot here. A 1-goal lead for the Ohsweken Demons. 10 minutes to play. For one of these teams, they'll watch the Creators Cup from the sideline. The other will wait for Barrie to play Southwest Thursday to see if they'll host. Josh Becker, Nevin Sullivan pushes him aside. Tom Montour looks 5-hole on Murray, and he closes the door.
Somehow Becker and Montour managed to get on their correct sides with the two defenders all over them. Complete a great pass. Murray again has to be sharp to keep the Demons in here.
Wasson chopped down there by the combination of Dewey Porter and Josh Becker. And as he was falling, tried to get the pass away, and it ends up in the Demons bench.
I think Wasson had a little more time than he realized to make that pass. Could have waited for the player to get just a little more open. It's easy for us to say when we're not the ones being knocked down to the floor and having to try and make a play. Here comes Hogarth up the other way. Hogarth driving to the net, past Van Every, goes hard, shoots. Chase Martin's looking below him, and it is right under his groin. And he picks it out and shows it to the ref. Hogarth's still down on the floor, and Wayne Van Every is calling for the Durham trainer. Nice show of sportsmanship by Van Every to call for aid for his opponent there.
Hogarth has made his way upright and will get off under his own strength, as the trainer was actually back in the room.
Here's a replay of it. You can see Hogarth gets great positioning. The stick gets up, and Hogarth tries to get the shot off, so he's not protecting himself as he goes down. And he lands very hard. We'll see when Hogarth is able to come back out, because he's a critical component. Now a penalty coming to Durham. Martin will zip to the bench. And 6 attackers for this Ohsweken Demons. Ball is knocked down in front, and we're going to have play called down. Ohsweken will go to the power play, leading by 1 with 8:44 to go.
And as Murray, as he touched it in one motion, flipped it, and everyone's asking for the delay of game penalty here.
There's Hogarth behind the bench. He is clearly shaken up. Trainer has him as he's walking down.
Leaking big time here.
Some blood coming out as he went down hard. Not sure whether Van Every did get the stick up. He was kind of swinging his stick up around the head of Hogarth. I didn't think he actually hit him with it, because Hogarth had his stick up shooting, but he went down hard, and it may have been the face mask heading into the chin.
Penalty box door is open for Durham. Did they get the call here, the delay of game? Matt Giles doesn't know why it's so late. John St. John is the in-home player, and he goes in, so I guess they did. This could be the biggest power play of the game.
The hand was up, though, for the delayed penalty.
Oh, that's correct. Sorry.
That's okay.
Maybe it was to Hogarth. Oh, that went off the face mask of Murray. And a little slow to get back upright. He does get there, though, and they'll allow play to continue. Weiss to his left. Atwood is there. The low shot, that off the left arm of Murray, off the glass. Ricochets into the stick of Torrey Van Every. Roger Weiss, Blue Hill, Chris Atwood. Weiss again. Behind his back for Torrey Van Every. Behind the net for Chris Atwood. He tried to bank it off of Murray. We've seen Murray go down early a couple times. So did Chris Atwood, apparently. And he almost got a goal out of it. Mac O'Brien. That's a lonely experience right there, facing 3 defenders. Does it nicely and gets it over for Josh Wasson. Wasson takes the shot, doesn't miss by much though, but it's back and it will go over the center line. Wasson will concede the over and back. Chris Atwood waited for the call before picking up the ball. Now he's just going to leave for Wayne Van Every. And Dewey Porter takes the place of Torrey as he came out on that offensive set. Elijah Printup in for Blue Hill. Roger Weiss, the shot. Oh, boy. From outside over Murray, who went down low.
77,
They've been talking
17.
on that Demon bench. 2-goal lead for the Demons.
And at some point, you're just not going to be able to contain this Ohsweken power play. Roger Weiss, the great outside shooter. And he just finds a little spot and does give them the 2-goal lead. And the penalty was put up to Cole Murray. Interesting to see, since the hand was up earlier, before the play where Murray flicked it up.
And the face-off win for the Demons again. It's been a long night for the Durham training staff. They've got Hogarth back there, and another goal. There was a ton of traffic in front of Murray. He went to his right, and that ball squeaked around and got in behind. Now the momentum's starting to shift back the way of the Demons.
63.
Yeah, Dewey Porter just finds a spot, the exact opposite corner, goes across that screen, and you can see how perfectly he placed it between the 2 players, one from each team, that were fighting their way through the slot just above the crease. Cole Murray is showing the officials that there's a problem with his equipment, so they're going to let him go to the bench to try and get it fixed. But yeah, all the momentum on the side of the Ohsweken Demons. And it really, I mean, things really turned around when the play was blown dead after Dylan Goddard put the ball in the net, but the penalties were assessed. I guess what you're going to have to say in that case is if you're going with the intent to blow the whistle, was before he shot it, but why is your intent to blow the whistle when you've let it run down to within 10 feet of the net and then to blow it then?
When I saw it, I thought I did hear a first kind of weak whistle as the play was passing the restraining line, and then the louder whistle came from the second official who ran down to help. But as you said, you let that go for 15 seconds. You can't let it go to let the play continue there, and that's what got Matt Giles so riled up. And Cole Murray's gone to the bench. Looks like the signal from the official there, they're taping the chin strap. He doesn't have any gloves or a helmet. And of course his stick back in the crease. Here's our social media information for both us here at the JVI Sports Network and the Canadian Lacrosse League. And a whole ton of confusion. Like we said, the trainer for Durham, she's back there with Thomas Hogarth. She's been back there with Mark Farthing. Aaron Brown has gone to the room tonight. Now she's got equipment work to do for Cole Murray. And it looks like he's good to go.
And he's going to pretty much need to shut out the Ohsweken Demons the rest of the way, because that 3-goal lead is going to be tough enough to overcome as it is. It'll be the guys who started it all out at the faceoff dot, Mike Cudmore for the Durham Turfdogs and Mike Atwood for the Ohsweken Demons. Of course, Atwood started everything rolling by taking it himself, heading down, passing off to his brother Chris. So they scored 7 seconds into the game. They have pulled back ahead by 3, but Cudmore comes up with the ball. Cudmore drives to the net. He's going to turn back out and pass it off, let the offense set up.
Gives it to Josh Wasson. He had the hot hand early, but a late change here. Durham finally gets 5 on the floor. It was Aaron Brown slides in. And Hogarth does so much for this team. They're already missing. Bergen takes a shot in the chops. Mike Atwood is going to go here as the trail officials got his arm high. Rod Squire touches that one up, but I was about to say Hogarth does so much for this team. Defense, transition, and offense. With him in the room, they're really juggling lines here.
It's just 2 minutes going up. You can see the stick going straight up to the face. And I think
that should have been
Durham
5.
was looking at 5, and I got to agree with them.
But it is a power play. And they'll get the top unit out there. Goddard and Bergen play catch over here. Bergen had the corner, but taken away by the shoulder of Chase Martin.
What a shrug save by Martin as Bergen had that one labeled.
McNulty down low. Looks like John St. John is slotted in on that far side. As Goddard there for McNulty. Bergen's got to chase this one down. He gave a quick look for Goddard, and a nice job by Bergen keeping the ball on the correct side of center. Bergen gave a quick glance at Goddard to see where he was, kind of tell him what he was going to do. This one off the backboard is the closest man to it is Tom Montour. But as Murray comes over, a nice job by Murray to recognize that. Almost falls as he goes back to his net. Quick restart, he gets there in time. The inside of the foot, making the save on Montour.
And Montour knew he had a chance coming, and that stumble by Murray almost cost him.
Hogarth looked like he was making his way back to the bench, and the trainer directing him back to the room. So maybe he's done. Not sure what the diagnosis is, but she's not going to let him back in this game. Goddard on the crease. Bergen couldn't corral it. They continue to work back and forth, though. Wasson from outside the shot, juggled by Martin, reaching over top. Bergen, what a goal as he pulls it out and puts it behind. Aaron Brown was robbed by not doing that earlier. Tim Bergen makes it count this time.
Yeah, that is how you do it when the ball is in the 43. Crease. Unassisted for Bergen. So you're going to see the shot by Wasson up top. He'll just step into the middle, rip it, juggles in the arm of Martin. It looked like a great save, but it gets away from him. And Bergen nicely staying outside the crease with his toes, picks the ball up and tucks it over top of Martin. Durham pulls back within 2 with 5 minutes to play. They're not out of it.
Cudmore and Atwood renew acquaintances at the dot. Again, it results in a loose ball. Demons player falls there. Gamble was in the vicinity. They say no contact, and then coming in heavy with a purpose, Torrey Van Every is pulled out by Brandon Armstrong. He cuts through the defense, the bounce shot behind Martin. What a goal there, and that brings the Turf Dog bench to life.
Brandon Armstrong,
number 14,
the young player, unassisted, takes off. And the key to this is the super little slip move between the two defenders. When we see it again, you're going to see how small he makes himself to get through this opening. Right here, he's going to cut back.
Bermuda Triangle right there.
Oh, what a play to get between Van Every and Atwood. Admittedly not two of the premier defenders in this league, but they had hustled back and looked like they had pretty good position. Armstrong pulls the Turf Dogs within 1 and gives them all the momentum.
In behind the Turf Dogs, Eric Schewel. There was a shoving match between him and Travis Hill, and he wound up and gave it to Hill, and he's going to go for that chop. 4.5 to play in the fourth quarter. The momentum starting to go back to Durham, and they'll go back to the penalty kill here. Roger Weiss from outside, over his back shoulder. Reaching behind was Josh Becker, and we will get the penalty call.
And Schewel started to go after the official to give him a piece of his mind, and Pete Rennie very wisely stepped in front of him, just shoved him over out of the way. You can't, as frustrating as it may be, as tough as the situation may be, as annoyed as you may be with the opponent, whatever they've done, you just can't take that penalty with 4 minutes to go, and you've just got momentum on your side.
And I think we picked up some of that frustration on our penalty box mic as well. Yeah, there it is again.
Yep,
we apologize.
No
Schewel, some kind of ticked off there, but 4 minutes on the board. This could be a huge momentum-changing power play or penalty kill, depending which side of the ball you're on. Torrey Van Every the shot. That one saved by Cole Murray. It's going to bound out and over center floor. Martin comes almost to the restraining line to play it for Weiss. Roger Weiss testing the spin. He can get on the ball off the stick. There's Van Every slotting in the middle. Armstrong again gets underneath the check. And now he's in again. The outlet pass just away from Aaron Brown as he was all alone as the triangle collided on Armstrong again. Wasson in stride over the restraining line. He had thoughts of a shot, still wants to, and he does. Martin with the save into the corner. First man there is Josh Wasson. He's ragged down to the carpet by Roger Weiss, and Aaron Brown sliding over now. You can see the numbers on the ball, the name of the game for the Ohsweken Demons here as Wayne Van Every gets it. That's killed off a minute 15 of the shorthanded situation, 3 to go in regulation time. Torrey Van Every up for Roger Weiss. He looks at Elijah Print up the shot, and then holding his own, squeezing the arm down was Cole Murray. We haven't taken the officials' timeout yet, and we do now with 2:50 to go. A 1-goal lead for the Ohsweken Demons. Buckle up. A great finish coming from the ILA. I still like it.
All right, okay, yep.
Again, if Barrie is to win on Thursday night, Easter weekend, they will host a 2 p.m. game at the Barrie Molson Center, April the 5th. If they do not, and Ohsweken wins, they will host here on Saturday, April the 4th, 7:30. If Southwest wins and Durham wins today, 7:30 at the General Motors Center in Oshawa. Stay tuned to @CLAX League on Twitter for ticket information, CanadianLacrosse.com, and of course JBISportsNetwork.com, as we will have Thursday night's game for you as well, an 8 p.m. start from the Barrie Molson Center. Steven Stamp will call play-by-play. I'll be alongside him for color commentary. As at the end of that night, we will know for certain who will host the Creators Cup Championship. Southwest Cyclops, Barrie Blizzard. One of those two teams, along with one of these two, will look for the gold on Easter weekend. Dylan Goddard down the far side. His play has resumed here at the Iroquois Lacrosse Arena. Goddard escapes the double team. 20 seconds on the shorthanded situation. Mac O'Brien in the corner. Ken Aaron spying him. He gets away from Aaron. Now he puts the brakes on. He looks like he's going to try and dive. Shot clock running out. Shoots it over the shoulder. And Rod Squire there. Dropped in front was Joe Wasson. But a couple Turf Dogs quick out to the bench as they've got that long change from the offensive zone. And Schewel out of the box. 2:12 to go in regulation time. A 1-goal lead for the Ohsweken Demons. They have the ball right now. Wayne Van Every wheels around the top. Joe Wasson picked out of the pitcher by Dewey Porter. Here's Chris Atwood. He takes it off the carpet. Rennie sends him into the corner. Outside shot. Wayne Van Every. And the celebration afterwards. Same from Chris Atwood. Make it a 2-goal lead. 1:53. But the way this game's gone, you're going to want to stay with us.
Yeah, you never know what could happen with the minute 53 to play and just a 2-goal lead for Ohsweken, but that is a huge one. Chris Atwood making the pass in this case, and what a pass it is with Rennie all over him. Just creaks it through there. Van Every bounces it home. This is where draws can be so important. Cudmore and Atwood, the guys out there to take them. A lot of jostling for position.
Yeah, but that's no different from all night long.
No.
And where's the ball? Atwood thought he scooped it back. Cudmore thought he had it in the stick. Cudmore's got to send it back to his goaltender. Murray out of the crease, 13-11. They're calling Aaron Brown off. He didn't get the memo. Now he heads off, as does Gamble. They want the O guys out in a hurry. Cole Murray will join the players to the bench. Extra attacker on with 90 seconds to play. Josh Wasson near side. Brandon Armstrong out there as well. He's been hot of late. He goes in the middle to stir up trouble. Cutting through, there's McNulty. What a save from Martin going down. Loose ball drug out by Josh Wasson though. Up for Goddard up top, down low. McNulty bounces out of him. And the pass up top gets away from Goddard. 1:06 on the clock. And the pro native crowd starts to applaud. They can feel what's coming up. And it may be another trip to the Creators Cup final for the Ohsweken Demons. They'll head the floor, spread the floor rather, as Mo Bissell gets it. 4 Demons outside the restraining line. Wayne Van Every, he's got a clear path to the net, takes it, takes the shot, and gets a fresh 30. No, they're going to say that missed the net. As they walk in again, it's not going to matter though. Roger Weiss in the crease. And Tom Montour takes a shot. Down on the carpet is Wayne Van Every. And Montour's going for a slash.
And as Montour was distracting the official Grant Spees, Cole Murray absolutely flattened Wayne Van Every. But Scott Gamble is there to let him know that the road to Murray goes through him. And Wayne Van Every is not going to take that road.
And Van Every, in typical Van Every and Montour fashion, pointing at the scoreboard, thinking that's the end, but 2 goals in 41 seconds. Watch this continue. Oh, unfortunate.
We need a little more of that replay just to see Murray flatten Van Every. There's Montour going off.
And now the war of words continues. Goal wiped out by a crease. Montour in the box for 2. That would be the rest of regulation without our player to watch, Tom Montour. Let's set it up once again. 41.2 on the clock. 13-11 the score. Turf Dogs have the ball on the power play. Down low. They go back to the quarterback. Goddard, Bergen. Goddard again. 6 men in the set. There's a shot bouncing around in behind Martin. It gets in behind the net now. Goddard streaking to the bench to get Murray back out there. Bergen looks down low and Martin makes the save. Printup gets it up for Travis Hill. No goaltender, off the pipe from Hill. But with 10 seconds to go, 2-goal lead on the board. Rod Squire tries to corral it. He's going to be taken out of the play here. But the crowd and the bench start to salute the Ohsweken Demons. There has never not been a native team in the Creators Cup final. The streak continues.
What a run of lacrosse in the second half of this game. The Ohsweken Demons jump out to the big lead, 4-0, 5-1 in the first quarter. 5-1 late, and then Durham did get one back late in the first quarter, but the Turf Dogs take control of the second quarter, tie things up in the third. We have a battle back and forth, and ultimately another great Seahawks playoff game. And Cole Murray and Chase Martin will be the first guys at mid-floor to shake hands.
And another heartbreaking end to the season for the Durham Turf Dogs. It seems like every year this is the story in the playoffs. I think, was that what you were motioning? So close.
So close, yet so far away.
I was gonna let you say it. That was your line.
Yeah, they they were right there. They're tied at 9. They're down 10-9, and then the controversial call. But you know what? As much as that call was a tough one for the Turf Dogs to take, Ohsweken took advantage of the opportunities they created late in the game, and they came out and won this and certainly earned their trip to the Creators Cup. Randy
Kreisler took the Demons there last year, losing to the Niagara Lock Monsters. Mouse Henry the year before that took the Iroquois Ironmen and was victorious with a 4-seeded team. And the Ohsweken Demons will return to the Creators Cup. Who will they face? We'll find out on Thursday night. Our 3 stars of the game as the coaches exchange notes. Matt Giles and Mouse Henry. Our 3rd star of the game, Cole Murray, does pick up the loss there at the end, but my goodness, he did his darndest.
He was outstanding coming in replacement of Kevin Croswell, but I'll tell you, if we got to do these at the end of the game, Chase Martin may have taken that 3rd star in about the last 40 seconds of the game with a couple of those fantastic saves that he made. Some others strong consideration. Our 2nd star of the game, though, will go to another Durham Turf Dog, Josh Wasson, with 4 goals and 2 assists. And what a second quarter he had. Played well throughout the game and just couldn't help them get over the top.
That was when Mark Farthing was down. We've seen throughout the season guys like Jesse Guerin step up. Tonight it was Josh Wasson's turn. Thomas Hogarth did it throughout the season as well. But like we said, former captain Josh Wasson did step up while the captain was down. And our 1st star of the game, he was solid from start to finish. Missed an entire quarter sitting in the penalty box and still comes away with
8 points, 5 goals, 3 assists for Chris Atwood. He of the finger wag and the celebration at the end as well. Certainly not gaining himself any more fans amongst Durham Turfdogs players and coaches, but he was all the rage here among the fans of the Ohsweken Demons with his 8-point night. Just a fantastic display of talent and offensive lacrosse intelligence. I mean, we talk about the shooting and the passing he makes, but his floor vision as well as the decisions he makes in offense, they're really good.
Semifinal number 2, Thursday evening. We'll be on the air at 7:55. The Southwest Cyclops versus the Barrie Blizzard from the Barrie Molson Center. Tickets now available for that game if you live in Barrie or if you're a fan of great live lacrosse. Of course, if you can't make it, JVISportsNetwork.com and CanadianLacrosseLeague.com. We knew coming into the playoffs there'd be a new Creators Cup champion with the Niagara Lock Monsters out. Last year, the Demons were some ticked. They didn't keep the native streak alive. They're headed back to the game, and man, do they want it. Our director tonight has been Alex Fraza, our producer Gary Morrison. On behalf of them and our incredible JVI Sports Network crew and everyone involved with the Canadian Lacrosse League, and of course my partner Stephen Stamp, I'm Matthew Carrick. We'll talk to you Thursday night for semifinal number 2.